I'm Harry Mays, and the Eagles are eliminated from the playoffs, courtesy of a guy named Demarcus Robinson, who had a career day, 6 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. This guy had 22 catches the entire season, Jason Myrtetus.
I'm Jason Myrtetus, yeah, and welcome to a very long off season. This is the Eagles Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad Show starting now.
It is the Eagles Squad Show as the season comes to an end with a 23-19 loss against the San Francisco 49ers on Wild Card Weekend. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long and all playoffs long. Louie, DiBiase joins us right now from Locked On Eagles, and I don't even know where to start this episode because this is the NFL. It's 1 minute you're entrenched in the everyday, the storylines, the press conferences, all of it, and then boom, it's over. And that's it. Full stop. You've hit the wall, and we won't have meaningful pro football here again until September. But that's where we are. Louie, your instant thought on a season-ending, just befuddling loss.
Yeah, look, this season ended the way it started. This team was not able to overcome the same problems on offense that have ailed this team all year, and it feels like me and you and Harry and all of us on Locked On Eagles have talked about all season that eventually this was going to catch up to them, and how fitting that it caught up to them at the worst time in the playoffs. Kevin Patullo's play calling in the second half, the inability to create easy yardage on first and second down. And look, penalties were obviously a huge problem in the offensive line. Their inconsistencies were such an issue. So I don't want to overlook execution. But the fact that Nick Sirianni put this guy in charge of the highest payroll offense in football, and they were able to generate nothing in this second half, is so frustrating because of the way this defense has played all year. It's an absolute waste of one of the greatest defensive seasons in franchise history. To watch Kyle Shanahan scheme things up for a fullback in the second half, and we can't find a way to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith the football consistently, or Dallas Goedert. I think this is the most frustrating offensive season in franchise history. I'm furious right now. This is the worst.
Harry, sum it up as best you can before we kind of like put it under the microscope, sum it up kind of in a single thought.
Well, I mean, we, like Louis said, we've been talking about this offense and their ineptitude at times in games where they'll go, a quarter or a quarter and a half, and they're looking like they know what they're doing. Then all of a sudden, they can't move the football, and it's 3 and out after 3 and out, and you're like, well, what is going on? They got all this talent. You got, the wide receiver and the coach yelling at each other, on the sidelines. It was like anarchy there for a little bit. And then you see Kittle going out early in the game in the first half, and the announcing crew made it seem like it was the funeral march for the 49ers. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's hurt all the time. They can coexist without Kittle. Like, this is not that big of a deal. And they sure did without the greatest speed at wide out. They're dealing with a bunch of threes really at the wide receiver position. And this guy, Demarcus Robinson, has a career night. I mean, he was featured in this game. They were going after Quinyon Mitchell, and I know he had 2 interceptions, but nobody goes after Quinyon Mitchell. It was incredible. I think if you're the Eagles defense, Fangio and that crew up in the booth must have been looking at each other like, what's happening here? They're going at 27.
They didn't plan for that.
Yeah, but I know he had the 2 picks, and one was a really awful read by Purdy. But it just goes to show you the Niners came in here with an attitude of like, hey, we're undermanned, we're banged up, nobody thinks we can win. We're gonna put all the chips in the table. We're gonna go after your best guy. We're just going for it on every freaking play. We're gonna go for it. And they made big plays. They made 4 or 5 explosive plays. McCaffrey was there to make a run or a run after catch when they needed him to. Juszczyk made a couple of huge plays in the second half to move the chains. It was just like, they'd make a mistake, but then when they needed to really move the chains and advance the football and change field position. They were able to do it almost knowing that the Eagles offense had nothing in the second half.
Nothing.
Yet again, absolutely nothing.
They had no answers. It feels like, I mean, Jason, they've run out of play designs. Like the first initial 20-play script after that, Petula has no idea what he's doing.
There's no variation on anything. You
None
can show them design again, but do something different out of it, right? Yeah. That's how you confuse the defense. The whole offensive play calling, and this is in my opinion, this is why the second halves have been so ridiculously awful, is because it's so pedestrian.
Yeah. I mean, their idea of creativity is a jet sweep, jet motion, and a handoff. Like, that's really it. I'm watching those games Friday night from all those coaches. You're seeing innovative play calls where guys with their rub routes and tight ends are getting open, and like it's like chess versus
checkers,
second degree checkers.
Look at what the 49ers were doing with Jawan Jennings. Like, they did not, think about it, in this game, they did not have 2 first-round wide receivers in Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Parcell. Their star tight end in George Kittle tore his Achilles in the first half. They were down to literally only Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. And look at what Shanahan was able to dial up in the second half. How can you not dial up anything creative? And the most frustrating part is they were doing creative things and aggressive things on first and second down in the first half, and they completely went away from it. That's been the theme all year. I feel absolutely insane talking about the same things over and over. It was the Tampa game. It was the Denver game. It was the Giants games. It was not the second one, but the first one. It was the matchup against Dallas when you're up 21-0. The Bills game a couple weeks ago.
Cowboys.
The Buccaneers. They were just never able to figure that out. And for me, this has been a problem now that's happened to this franchise 3 times after a Super Bowl season where you promoted from within as a play caller and offensive coordinator, and next year they have to make a change again. I'm sorry, I know Jalen Hurts is probably sick of having new play callers, but that guy cannot be in charge of this near billion-dollar offensive roster that you have. That is why the season is ending today.
Yeah, and let's, I'd be remiss if I didn't take a shot at number 11, because there were a couple of plays that were open, and he was wide open, and the ball was delivered, and there was either a lack of effort on a couple of those plays earlier on in the game. It looked like he really wasn't all that interested in getting to those balls, and then the one in the fourth quarter late in the game was right there in his hands, a first down to be had, and he flat dropped it.
Game on the line, 3rd and long. A.J. Brown drops the ball when all year this guy, and I was on his side a lot, and I think the Eagles should be very frustrated because they were on his side. They defended him when they could have turned their back on him. They gave him more targets than he probably deserved in the second half of the season because of all of his complaining in the first half. And for him in this playoff game to, like Harry said, in 2 back-to-back or 2 of 3 plays, deep balls where it was going to be a tough grab, but you're the star wide receiver 1 that demands those targets in the playoffs. You got to make that play, and I don't want to say you barely try, but you got to make those grabs, and you were not going at 100%. And then on a 3rd and long, with the season on the line, you drop the ball. Nick Sirianni had every right to get in his face at the end of the second quarter, and I'm glad he did that because AJ failed this team today.
Yeah, he came up small. Frankly, he just came up small in the game, and for all the drama off the field, all the narratives, all the tweets or whatever, Instagram posts, it's over. Like they're going to move on.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be on the team next year.
Yeah.
We've been saying this for like 2 months now, really.
I don't know if he's going to want to be back. He's going to be vilified probably all offseason after that game. I think I really thought in the second half of the season the relationship had been mended between Hurts and Brown and the organization. It felt like he was happy again. He reached 1,000 yards. They were doing a better job of getting him implemented in the game plan. But, I don't know. I think this game, you took 5 steps forward to take 10 steps back after this one. I really thought Brown was going to be here in 2026, and now it's a toss-up. I would love to have him back, but I'm not sure if he's going to even want to be back at this point.
Well, here's the thing. If you get rid of him, you're not going to replace a guy that has the same skill set. That being said, he came up small in this game. And my problem was how it looked optically, like Harry said. Sometimes it looked like he just was mailing it in.
Well, there was 2 plays in that.
That's not him.
Half, man. I got to see more effort out of a guy like that to go
after
after those balls, man. I
mean, you saw what Burton was doing. He was willing to die on that hill today.
Yeah, look at what DeMarcus Robinson is doing on the other side of the ball. He had over 100 yards. It's just, and look, the defense obviously gave up a lot against a unit that did not have a lot of star power. They really only had Christian McCaffrey when it comes to weapons, but that defense carried you all year long. It's hard to blame. And they got you 2 interceptions, like Quinyon Mitchell in the second half. They got you to midfield or farther, and you had 6 points to show for it.
6 points, 2
one
field goals.
touchdown probably puts that game away. This is all about this year's failure. When you look back at how frustrating this year was, it's all about Nick Sirianni's decision to promote Kevin Patullo and a bunch of stars on this team underperforming, and not just with the weapons like A.J. Brown, but the offensive line. Even when there were positive plays in the second half, here's the Cam Jurgens holding call. Here's the ineligible player downfield, or some personal foul. This was just the most undisciplined team in the league, and that's also kind of on coaching. So I just feel like the coaching staff.
That's completely on coach.
It's
on the
I mean,
players,
Sirianni,
it's
Patullo.
on coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the
failed
problem.
this year.
You end the first half with a 3 and out, 1 yard, 59 seconds off the clock. Then you start the third quarter, 3 plays, 7 yards, 1:31 off the clock. Then your next possession, 4 plays, -4 yards, 2:05 off the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just putting your defense out there repeatedly after they've been bailing you out all year. There's a tipping point, where you just can't continue to be that stingy now, no matter how great of a defense you are.
Yeah.
And
go
ahead, Harry.
No, if it weren't for some 49er ineptitude towards the end of that first half where they couldn't get lined up right, they didn't have a wide receiver up on the line of scrimmage. He didn't know whether to drop back or get on the line of scrimmage. They had to call a timeout. It was their last timeout. They could have used that when they were driving in that final 20 seconds where Purdy fumbled the ball out of bounds, where it was on an automatic end of half. They would have had a shot at a field goal there. And Pinheiro has only missed 1 all season. He probably would have made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the missed extra point. Each team had one.
Yep.
So it ends up evening out. But if the Eagles had not missed theirs and the 49ers did miss theirs, we probably haven't started the show yet because we're probably in overtime.
Yeah.
You can kick a field goal there and
Worst
then
case.
down 3, right?
But this game should have been a multi-score win. I mean, with the way this offense was clicking in the first half, and considering
those linebackers they had.
San Francisco's linebackers, how do you not find a way to isolate those guys one-on-one with Dallas Goedert, who's cooking in this game? I mean, that's what's so frustrating. The defense had no talent in the front seven. I've never seen... I mean, this is worse than Brian Johnson. This is worse than Mike Groh and Press Taylor. I've never seen somebody more lost with... It's like if you handed the keys to a Ferrari to a 10-year-old. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And expect them not to wreck it.
That's what I talked about on the squad show the other day, Jason. You remember about it? I wanted to see if Kevin Patullo could rectify his play calling and isolate these linebackers they're down to their 4th, 5th, 6th linebacker, bringing a guy up off the practice squad who had been a 10-year, 11-year veteran, but he's an old guy. And Kendricks, he played his ass off today.
He did.
Kendricks. He was the best guy they had at that position.
Oh, by the way, that team had the least amount of sacks in football this year.
Yeah, 20,
I don't even think they really got to Hurts a lot today.
No.
He had time, and there's just nothing
there
there because,
happy
again,
feet too.
Yeah, I don't think Jalen was great either. Jalen's going to need to find a way to grow in this next stage of his career, or else in a couple years, I don't know. I don't want to say you're looking for a new quarterback right now, but I don't think he elevated this team enough either in that second half.
Yeah,
he had an opportunity at a season-defining drive.
Yeah,
at the end of that game, he airmailed Devontae Smith too high, overthrew it. Again, the play calling was it's just an abject disaster.
But you're right. The quarterback
Absolute
had the ball in his hands to go win the game.
Yep.
And it was a touchdown instead of a field goal, which would have been tough.
And if you're running a bit of a hurry up, you're not even letting your OC call plays.
Look, and again,
they're better at that. They're better in that situation.
Yeah.
Brady called for it all night, pace.
And look, the A.J. Brown catches, or non-catches in this first half, those would have been tough plays, right? The Jalen Hurts throw to Devontae Smith on the final drive. He had pressure in his face. That would have been a tough catch. That would have been a tough throw to make. But this is the playoffs. You have to make those tough plays. And the Stars just did not make them today. And the Niners guys did. They had fullbacks making plays and backup receivers. They answered the bell, and it feels like all these Eagles guys that got their money and got their ring didn't care.
It's unbelievable that the season is just over like that.
Yeah, the suddenness of the end of a season is really remarkable. It just hits you right in the stomach.
It makes me nauseous in a way because we look forward to football so long.
Oh, yeah.
The football offseason, and the NFL does a good job of giving you some crackers along the way, some breadcrumbs with the free agency and the draft and mini camps and all that.
2 days
OTAs.
after the Super Bowl, I'm hankering for the next season, man.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 2 days after the Masters. I'm ready for the Masters.
I don't know. I need a break
year.
from this team. I think that I will say that was more frustrating to watch this year, that offense, than like Sam Bradford in 2015 or that 4-win team in 2020, because there was no excuse to look like that. The fact that's the same.
That's a slow death. This is an immediate death. Yeah. You can prepare over weeks and weeks.
Yeah. Well,
That's
so
fair.
Louie, I see a vacation in a warm weather spot, some sunshine for you in the next.
Well, I don't know. Now I
weeks.
got to book my ticket to Alabama to the Senior Bowl in a few weeks. I got to go right into draft prep at this. I mean, it's warm down there, so I'll have a good time. But yeah, I'm going to start scouting tight ends because we're going to be losing Dallas Goedert probably, and they'll need a receiver when A.J. Brown's gone. So the offseason it's just as busy as the regular season.
Where's a warm weather climate for you? Scranton? To get out of Buffalo?
Anywhere that's not where I currently am. That's right.
Anywhere south of where he is.
Even an hour down south will be warmer.
We're going to go somewhere sunny and warm.
Yeah,
Scranton.
Right.
It's like Scranton with claims.
Yeah.
We're going to ask this question when we come back. I want you guys to think about it for a second. I'm going to tell everybody about PrizePicks. But the question is this. I don't know if I'm sure you're pretty sure you had the Eagles winning the game, Louie, going in.
Yep.
Harry and I did as well. So did Mark. But should we be surprised? We'll tackle that question when we return. It's the Eagles squad show as they fall in Wild Card Weekend, round number 1, 23-19, against the San Francisco 49ers. We're back after this on the Locked On Eagles squad show. All right, let me tell you about, let me take you guys out of the equation. Boop, boop, there we go. Let me tell you about PrizePicks, because PrizePicks, fantastic. This episode brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new, sometimes it can feel like a challenge. But PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and PrizePicks lets you stay in control. Now, PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. It's that simple. Getting started on PrizePicks, it's very quick, simple, easy to do. App is super easy to navigate. Also, it's made watching games more engaging, especially when you're following individual player performances, maybe on a team that you don't root for. So the flexibility with options like Flex Play, where you can still get paid even if one of your picks misses. Now, the new early payouts feature is a game changer as well. If a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game ends, thinking maybe they're not going to stay hot. Do yourself a favor. Download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right. The question, should we be surprised we're holding a funeral march right now when we consider the Bucs game, the Cowboys game, the offense, and Kevin Patullo and everything that has gone on this year? I know it was the 49ers. They were banged up.
Yeah.
They're missing a lot of guys on both sides of the ball. We know the Shanahan-Fangio thing in the past was advantage Fangio in a big way. But should we be shocked? Are we shocked, or should we be shocked?
Well, I am shocked that they lost this game. I didn't think this team, as they were playing, was going to the Super Bowl. But I thought there was a very good chance if the cards fell the right way with some of the other games that they could have been hosting an NFC Championship game against the Rams, and they may go down and lose that game. But I didn't see them losing this team at this moment at home, given all the problems that the 49ers were dealing with as far as, health or lack thereof. I just didn't see it. I thought it would be a close, ugly football game. I kind of was surprised that the line went to 5.5 and 6 at some point during the week. I thought that was kind of out of bounds, but I didn't see them losing this game. I thought they'd find a way to win it at home against a banged-up Niners team.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that the offense did what they've been doing all year, because eventually in the NFL, you are who you are. This is who they've been for 3.5 months. And to believe that suddenly they were going to completely flip that script and flip that switch would have been probably naive. But I am surprised that they completely collapsed like they did again. I really did believe that this team that's been so good in the playoffs, it's come up so big in so many big moments, just completely fell flat like that again when they looked the way they did in the first half. So I thought they would at least, produce enough in the second half where you could win ugly, as Harry said, with the defense. I'm very surprised the defense played the way they did at times where they gave up the yardage they did. So I'm not surprised.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that the offense couldn't figure out the problems that have been ailing them all year, but am I surprised that they weren't able to get this thing done in the second half against such a banged-up 49ers team? I definitely am.
I looked at it and said, if there's any team they can get feeling good offensively against again in the playoffs, it was the 49ers. And Harry pointed it out in the midweek squad show, that if you can exploit those linebackers in that second level with play design, then you're going to be off and running. And then maybe you can catch a wave of offense and confidence, and you can ride that through, a couple rounds of the playoffs or whatever. They couldn't do that, though. So when we look at this pie chart of blame for what happened today, a loss at home the year after winning the Super Bowl with many of the same pieces intact. Granted, the Eagles had some injuries along the offensive line as well. But when we break up that pie chart, where lies the blame? I don't even know how much to give Sirianni, but I know he gets a big piece of it because he's the one that decided on Patullo. Do I blame Patullo? I don't know, because maybe he was put in a spot that he was never ready for in the first place. So I don't know how to allocate the blame here, but the owner and the general manager got to figure that out.
That's a good point. I feel like Patullo is the biggest reason they fell short this year, but Sirianni is the one that not only made him play caller, after 2023, seeing that the internal promotion of Brian Johnson did not work, then to make the outside hire of Kellen Moore and you win the Super Bowl, to then go back to hiring your pal to call plays, that not working is on him, and then to not make a change at any point in the season, not just with someone else is going to call plays full time, but hey, how about in the second half? Clearly, I mentioned this as a suggestion on the episode on Thursday this week. Clearly, Patullo is very good at bringing up an initial 15-20 play script, right? But in the second half, he does not know how to close games out. That has been a problem all year. Why can't Sirianni or Scott Loeffler or somebody else call plays in the second half? There were no adjustments in season. He just went down with the ship with his guy. And for me, he should be held accountable on that more than anybody. And if I'm Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, I'm going into his office in the offseason saying, we're picking your play caller again. We're 1 for 1, and you're now 0 for 2. And so I think you're right, Jason. I think this is more on Sirianni than anybody.
Yeah, I got to put a lot of it on Sirianni for obvious reasons. I also have to put a lot on the quarterback too. He was just not good enough. Yeah. In the second half, he was 9 of 19 for 75 yards. Okay, that's not getting it done on any level. If you ask me, and on A.J. Brown too, because I just kind of think he tuned out after Sirianni got in his grill. I think he just kind of pouted and checked out a little bit, and that's not a professional wide receiver to me in a big spot. So I think he let his teammates down. Hurts needed to be a heck of a lot better. There were couple instances there where I thought Hurts would pull it down and use his legs. Like, he didn't do it enough. I think there was 2 or 3 designed runs in that whole football game that I noticed. But forget about designed runs. Take it on yourself, man. You're not completing passes down the field. Run it. It's one of your best assets. He didn't do it. And the head coach gets the rest of it.
Yeah, I agree. And because I look at it, and you go, well, players are going to go out there and make plays, especially when it's win or go home. That's something we talked about the last week or so. In the playoffs, I remember talking about earlier in the season when these second half problems. Well, maybe they just don't want to show stuff because they want to save it for when the stage is the brightest and the most meaningful. Maybe that's why they're running a limited playbook. Fact of the matter is the playbook had no other pages to fill, and that's Kevin Patullo. Mm-hmm. And the problem is like you said, Louie, Sirianni hired his friend. Well, now you got to fire your friend.
It was like a congratulatory promotion because they won the Super Bowl. Instead of making the right decision for 2025, it was more of a celebratory move to reward what happened in 2024. They didn't even interview, I don't think, a single outside coach for the position. So that's on Nick. Like, he hired his best friend that's been with him since the start of all this in 2021. But
which is contradictory because his message all year, we're not going on the field for the unveiling of the banner and stuff. But last year doesn't mean anything this year. Yet he hired this guy because of what happened last year, not because of what was going to take place this year.
Yeah, look, I think loyalty is a strength of Nick Sirianni's, and I think it's why the locker room loves him and the coaching staff, and it was a big strength of Doug Peterson. But I think it also could be their greatest weakness, right? Because when it comes to making objective decisions about his coaching staff, sometimes they're blinded by like their love of these guys and what they've been through together. And it's killed now, I think, 2 head coaches in Philadelphia. I'm not saying Sirianni's going to get fired, but it's killed 2 contending seasons for the Eagles because of Nick's decisions there. And I think Harry's right, though, about the quarterback, too. Like, Jalen, you're eventually at a point, though, in your career where you got to be able to overcome that kind of stuff, where if the offensive line's not perfect and the play calling's not perfect, I mean, you're a mobile quarterback, and just the refusal to run, even with the season on the line, I mean, that's your strength.
Yeah.
You got to have more than 70 passing yards in a game when you're getting paid like that. So I think it's all on the offensive pillars that this season failed. It's Sirianni, Patullo, and Jalen Hurts more than anybody.
You know, the thing about it is Hurts. He didn't do anything to quiet the offseason discussion about what he is as an NFL quarterback and where his standing is. It's a debate when he played great, even after he won an MVP. The debate now, he tried to put out a fire with a big old can of gasoline.
Yeah, well, he is where he is in those lists for a reason.
But it validates a lot of the Chris Sims.
I know he's a Super Bowl MVP, but I'm done talking about that after this season.
Wasn't Trent Dilfer too?
Yeah, maybe. Was he
I
the
mean,
MVP that year?
I think he was.
Oh man!
And to Louie's point, do you think that Tom Brady's offensive line was perfect every year he won? No. He was a great quarterback. He overcame it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. The minute that your run game isn't historically great, right? And I know, look, the offensive line was a huge problem this year, and that's their identity, is they are a run-first team, and they always will be with Jalen Hurts, even if he does evolve in the second half of his career. But, you know, to me, it's like eventually you have to evolve as a quarterback enough where if that's not perfect and the play calling's not perfect, you got to be able to elevate more than he has. And so you can win with Jalen Hurts, and he has some special moments. They've been to 2 Super Bowls and won one with Jalen as their quarterback in 4 years. But moving forward, if you want to be a consistent contender every single year, like he's got, him and Nick have to grow. Another reason that play calling and the offensive line issues ripped you down this year is because both your quarterback and head coach have not able to evolve their weaknesses. Like, Nick needs to be able to find a way to call plays, or else this is going to be a problem probably every single year. And he's not been able to do that. So Hurts and
he hasn't
Sirianni
been able to yet. He ain't going to be able to.
No, right. Their lack of evolution, I think, over the years is why you get this Super Bowl year, wild card loss, Super Bowl year, wild card loss. In those years where it's more on their shoulders like it was this season, you get this roller coaster ride.
Well, we're going to go into this offseason. And Hurts is going to be the biggest topic of discussion, more than Patullo, more than Sirianni, although Sirianni should be questioned just as much.
Well, Patullo's gone. He's got to be gone.
You would think so.
I mean, you can't even retain him and put him somewhere else in the organization, can you?
No. You can't even move him to the Sixers or the Flyers at this point.
If it's up to Howie and Louie, he's gone. I wonder if they'll give Nick that chance to make the decision. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
To see if he comes to that conclusion on his own?
Yeah, I mean, they did give Doug 2 years after the Super Bowl. They gave him 2018 and 2019 before they stepped in. But the Eagles have already stepped in on Nick and said, like, you're hiring Kellen Moore. Like, that was a Howie and Lurie move, in my opinion, last year. So I don't think they'll give him a whole nother season if he says, hey, I mean, because Lurie's been through this before with Doug. So he's not going to listen probably if Sirianni says, me and Patullo are going to get this right in 2026. That's not going to be a good enough solution.
Well, maybe a guy like Cliff Kingsbury doesn't get the head coaching job that he wants after Washington dismisses him.
Or how about Mike McDaniels?
You can get a guy like that. Yeah, well, yeah, McDaniels doesn't get a head coaching job.
Yeah, somebody that knows how to
I wouldn't hire him
easy
because
yardage.
of those pants.
Nah, he's fine as an OC.
The key is for the next Eagles OC is find a way on first and second down to create easier yardage with quick passing. When the run game's not working, I mean, today they ran the ball. Listen to this. It's kind of unbelievable. On 2nd and 18, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 13, they had rushing attempts on all those plays in the second half.
Really?
Because they don't know how to create separation and scheme up easy yardage to be ahead of the sticks in the passing game. And that is something that I think like a McDaniels does really well. So,
and those are situations where they're not going to let you get behind them. They're going to give you yardage in front of them.
Yeah, you got to hit guys in stride. Hitch routes aren't the only things that you can run.
How many times did Barkley get hit behind the line of scrimmage in the third quarter on attempted
Felt like
runs?
on every single play.
It was like every time he got the ball.
How do you not see that? I mean, we can all see that on our couches.
Right.
How does Kevin not see that and say, maybe we should dial up a pass here? The first half, their passing attack on first down was working. And then it's 2nd and 4 or less. Okay, now let's use Saquon and Tank Bigsby. And that's why they were sustaining drives. And they completely abandoned that in the second half.
All right, let's take our second timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about Saquon because I thought he had a good game, all said and done. He had some good, especially at the end, he had some good, strong runs.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most consistent season for him like it was a year ago. That's obvious. Was last year a factor in that? The injuries to the offensive line obviously play a part as well. We'll discuss Saquon Barkley when we return on this Eagles Squad show.
The Locked On Eagles Squad Show today is presented by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts that you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bet feel that way as well. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
All right, we're back. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley. We know about the legendary season a year ago. Let me just give you the numbers on his last season. First with the Eagles, of course. In 16 games, he had 345 carries for 2,005 yards, 5.8 average, 13 touchdowns, 72 long, 2 fumbles, and 1 lost fumble. This year, in 16 regular season games, 1,140 yards, 4.1 average, 7 touchdowns, no fumbles lost. In this game, playoff game, he was much better. I thought that he looked like he had a lot of pop. 26 carries, $106, 4.1 average, 29 long. But if you're not going to have any creative play design and you're going to try and run him up the middle in that situation, it's fool's gold.
Yeah, defenses adjust eventually, and that's why there's been so many games this year where the offense looks incredible in the first half and they get completely erased in the second half is because they don't have a counter. When they eventually figure that out, how to defend Saquon, they don't have anything else. That's why I was talking about Mike McDaniel specifically in the last segment, because they don't have a screen game. Like, that's not part of this offense. Slants, mesh concepts, hitting players in stride in the passing game or scheming players open, run after the catch opportunities. Look at what San Francisco does in that department, and then look what Philadelphia does. It's night and day. And that, to me, was one of the biggest problems this year on early downs, and they never were able to figure it out. So even today, when Saquon's having a really good game, they couldn't figure that other part out, and it killed them.
Yeah, I just can't help but think, the tush push was such a big part of what they did last year on their way to winning a Super Bowl. And this year, it, early on in the season just didn't look the same. The offensive line's injuries contributed a lot to that. Plus, I think defenses kind of found a way to sort of not make it as quite as an effective play. And all of a sudden, it was like their invincibility went right down the drain. It was like if that play wasn't legal last year, do they win the Super Bowl? It's just like it was such a big part of what they did and how they sort of set up play calls leading up to, short yardage situations on 3rd or 4th down, knowing that you had that ace in the hole in their back pocket. And this year it wasn't an automatic. And I think that really changed the way they looked and the way they played in 1st and 2nd down.
and it affected time of possession.
Yeah.
It affected the ability to emasculate an opponent in the second half. And I mean, you said it last year, Harry. I remember you repeating it. It's 1st and 8.5.
Yeah.
1st and 8 for the Eagles, because you're always going to have the touch. Now, they did it twice in the game today, and it worked both times, and it looked actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But not having that confidence in that was like that's like having a secret power in the NFL that you can do, and really not many other teams could do. So it was a huge, almost single team.
I saw
advantage.
Buffalo do it once or twice today too, successfully.
I mean, one of them literally carried Allen into the end zone.
It was about 9 or 10 yards down to the 1 yard line.
It's just another symptom of the illness that was this year, the offensive line inconsistencies and
Jurgens
the
was
lack
horrible.
of play calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get them in enough situations where they could run the tush push on 3rd and 4th down. And when they did get those opportunities, the offensive line this year just was not the same. And I think that's another thing Howie Roseman really has to focus on is
Big time.
I'm going to have to find a new right tackle eventually, even if Lane Johnson plays 1 or 2 more years. Like, that's a priority
get
in
him
the
now.
draft. And they got to make upgrades on the interior. Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen. I know Jurgens just got that contract extension, but they'll probably bring in some competition for him. Right guard, they'll probably bring in competition through free agency and the draft, because, yes, you would like a quarterback that, again, can overcome not a dominant offensive line, not a great play caller, but that is the Eagles' identity, and that's what the biggest issue was this year.
Yeah.
They couldn't get going up front, and some of it was injuries, but I don't want to even put it on injuries because they've been playing all year and haven't missed games.
Yeah, I really kind of hope for his sake that he has to miss that Pro Bowl to get something taken care of, because I can't believe that a guy could just fall off like that.
He was so
in
good in
1 year
2024.
without
Yeah.
injury. It's got to be. There's got to be something that
It
needs
was a
to
back
be repaired.
injury, and as a center, I'm sure, as a mobile, like smaller
Yeah.
athletic center, that's a tough injury, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that is what it is too, because that extension was hefty. So
It was.
And if I was, I wouldn't show up to that Pro Bowl after the way I played this year. I'd be embarrassed.
the fact that that's the only offensive Pro Bowler to come from this year is kind of hilarious. But
Well, Lane Johnson too. The thing is, I like the idea of finding the next guy, and have him as an understudy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, and we saw it this year a lot of Jason Peters type things, where you start a game, but you have to come out repeatedly.
right.
And that's
what
a
you had with
problem.
Darius Slay last year too, and you had to eventually move on, and you're getting that,
That
from
doesn't
Lane.
get better
So
with age. That doesn't get better.
Yeah. Well, that Lane Johnson injury really impacted them too in their heavy sets. They were no longer able to do that because Johnson's in there at right tackle. Fred, I'm talking about, and you're not going to bring Pryor in as the extra offensive lineman. I mean, you don't want him. They had him on the field for one play. They couldn't get him off the field fast enough today.
Instead, though, the problem was, instead of spreading things out, they put 2 backup tight ends out there to block. And all year long, Latu and Calcaterra have been terrible, or Granson, any of those guys. And they continued to use that formation, that 13 personnel where they averaged under 3 yards a carry. They kept doing that in the second half. It's just frustrating when all of us can recognize a problem that the coaches can't. That's when you know it's time to move on.
Yeah, really the only time the offense was humming is when they were doing that with Fred Johnson and Lane Johnson was available. It was
The
like
Vikings-Giants run.
Power play, yeah.
That 2-game win streak, which is probably the best run they've had this year, which is saying something. But, yeah, they were using Fred as that 6th bonus lineman, and it was working under center.
Yeah, that heavy package, and with Lane Johnson in and out, they couldn't do it. Just it wasn't available to him.
And I got to think that Landon Dickerson's going to have some sort of procedure done too. He's
it's
not
right. Multiple, Harry.
There's no way that he's right.
I mean, he came into the season with like 3 different injuries, so I'd
He's
imagine
leaving
that
with 5.
had to play a part. Yeah.
I don't think he's shot.
No,
I think his body is probably just so broken down.
Well, and again, it was a shorter offseason. They won a Super Bowl, and he got that injury at the open practice, so he was already dealing with stuff, and then he got injured right before the season
early
started.
August.
And even if you get a few bye weeks here and there during the season, you get some rest. Like, you're not going to be able to catch up on that kind of stuff. No, it's not enough.
Not for guys who play every offensive snap.
Especially at that position. No way.
Right.
And not when you're carrying around that much on your frame. Like it takes longer to heal. Tissue injuries and stuff and joint injuries. There's so much stress on the frame of the body, and you carry around that size.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tight end position, because Goddard in the game today. I mean, Goddard had a touchdown of a season. Yeah, he had the touchdown, and I thought that was a pretty creative play design. They run him around the left side.
So one thing Patullo knew how to do this year was scheme up Goddard in the red zone.
Yeah, in the red zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
13
really
touchdowns total this year. Ridiculous.
Yeah. He had a really good year, and he came back on the cut rate deal. He comes in this year, plays and just missed one game too, mind you. 15 games, 60 receptions on 82 targets, 591, 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The highest amount he had in any season prior to that was 5 in his second NFL season.
Yeah, and he had 2 touchdowns in the playoffs. One of the best playoff performers in franchise history. And he's going to get a big deal somewhere. The Eagles are going to have to probably replace that player, and that's why I'm doing a lot of draft work already on tight end prospects, because they might have to replace not only a play caller this year on offense, maybe eventually a right tackle, but also maybe 2 star pass catchers. Like, I don't know the future of A.J. Brown, but I think they're going to have to at least replace Goddard. And by the way, Jahan Dotson's a free agent. Like, this offense could see some turnover this offseason.
Yeah, he can go away.
Yeah. Well, they hardly go to him.
I guess you need well, they went to him on the one play, which made
one play.
Well, that's what I mean, though. I mean, you're going to lose in his big. Yeah.
Yeah, Dotson had the one target in the end zone, and he was blanketed.
In the corner of the end zone where the guy was all over him. Green, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was covering him, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's just look at that.
Here.
Because I'm watching all these other playoff games. I mean, I've been dialed in on all these. I'm sure all you guys have been too. You look at all these other teams on offense. Man, they're using multiple guys. There's like 4 or 5 wide receivers getting looks from their respective quarterbacks, and they're making a play. 3 or 4 tight ends on the Rams. I mean, it's just a roster full of guys just getting, involved in the offense. That doesn't happen here. It's like 2, 3 guys, and that's it. And if they don't get the ball, the offense doesn't move.
Yeah, and 2 of them, it can only be one at a time.
Right.
With Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown.
Right.
It's very rare you see both of those guys go off in a game.
Yeah.
One's usually at the sacrifice of the other.
Yeah.
It's because I think they know how to feature one player in an offense, and the other one is they almost become a decoy in that way in order to get the other player going. And so, that's the thing is, I don't know. I mean, they got a Super Bowl out of this, so you can't say it's a waste of this personnel, but to see the ups and downs of the last 4 years with maybe the most well-put-together offensive group of weapons in the history of this league, or at least top 3, top 5, some of it's on the quarterback, right? The quarterback's limitations, but, I mean, so much of it is because of just lack of creativity from a schematic standpoint, and again, Sirianni, he's more to blame than anybody. They hired him to be a play caller long-term. He wasn't able to do it, and his coaching choices haven't worked either. So the head coach deserves more blame than anybody.
Yeah. Well, you got to give him credit for Steichen and Gannon bringing them in here. And
they were good.
The Kellen Moore thing was above him. Yeah. That was above him. But the other ones were whiffs.
Yeah.
Flat whiffs. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm looking for questions to be answered this offseason, obviously Patullo is one of them. But I'd like to get, and I don't even know how you do it, but I'd like to get a dissertation on what Nick Sirianni does. What is he responsible for in a season?
The culture,
no, I don't want to hear that, Harry. I don't pay a ticket to see culture.
Well,
I want to see culture. I'll go over and see the Louvre. I don't need
Paris. That would require getting on a plane.
Yes, that's how I would get. I'll go to Rome.
Okay.
I'll see culture. I don't pay a ticket to go to Lincoln Financial Field to see culture. I go to see execution. Okay. I want to know what this guy is responsible for, because week in and week out this season, and you pointed it out early in the season, Harry, the lack of discipline, pre-snap penalties, and this stuff was never friggin' remedied.
No,
never.
You're right.
And it caused first and long, unmanageable being behind the sticks, and it became just a snowball that picked up steam throughout the entire season. He had no answers. What in the F is he responsible for?
He's responsible for the offense, and that's where all the penalties were. That's where the bad play calling was. Every season this guy has his hands on the scheme, 2023, 2021, 2025. This is the product you get. So
I'm tired of giving them flowers because the guys that play hard. That's their job. They're freaking pros, damn it. You know what I mean?
Agree.
You don't get a buzzy button because you play hard. You're supposed to play hard.
And I wonder long-term, again, if you think Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback, and we talked about it already that he wasn't good enough today in the second half, if he needs to grow, which he does, I think, for him to still be a quality starter into his 30s in a couple years, when the mobility, it's already decreasing. He didn't run a lot this year. When it decreases, is Nick the right guy for him? Because they're always going to have different play callers if he's the head coach, and I don't know if Jalen can ever fully evolve if that's going to be the case. Like, if you get this up and down every other year kind of thing every season, does Jalen eventually say, I can't do this anymore? Like, either Nick needs to figure out how to call plays or get somebody else in here, or because you're not going to find a Vic Fangio offensive coordinator, some 80-year-old innovative
on his
offensive
last
play
stop.
mind. Yeah, that's not going to get a head coaching job. That's not how that side of the ball works. So I wonder if that's eventually a question you start asking organizationally if Jalen's your guy long term.
Yeah, there's no super creative 75-year-old play caller.
No.
Well, yeah. It's like
you can
Temple
do that on
getting
defense.
Temple finally getting KC Keeler. He's like 70. He's not going to go anywhere if he has 5 good years. They finally found somebody that won't leave.
Right. That's why head coaches normally are play callers. If an offensive staff, an assistant, breathes on a good offense, they normally get a head coaching job. That's why you've lost Steichen and you've lost Kellen Moore. So it's always going to happen. I don't feel like you'll ever have a guy that's just good enough to keep the job but not get a head coaching job, but also not get fired. So this is just the reality of the organization with Sirianni and Jalen leading it to a degree if they don't grow.
How much turnover are we going to see in the roster? I mean, there's always turnover every year. That Nakobe Dean, I mean,
he'll be gone.
Phillips, his contract's
probably gone.
Do they re-sign him?
I don't think so. They got to pay Carter, Jordan Davis. Ajoma's a free agent in a year.
Yeah.
So is Nolan Smith. I think they'll prioritize Nolan over Jalen Phillips. But the defense will have a lot of...
Why? Because they drafted him?
They drafted him. I think they have the fifth-year option there. The injury probably held back his stats this year. He had a historically great playoff run last year.
Yeah.
He's a great run defender. Yeah, the Georgia impact, I think Phillips is a better pass rusher, but I think they'll and the injuries with Jalen, with his career, they'll probably go with Smith. But the offense is where I think the more change will come because it's the older unit that's underperforming, and there's a lot of decisions you got to make there.
We have the Eagles' opponents for next year.
We do?
Oh, joy.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. But
okay.
I'm almost still just befuddled that the season's over.
It was abrupt. And the way the first half was going, it felt like they were definitely moving on to at least the second round. I didn't know if they were going to get to an NFC title, but them going one and done, even with the way the offense was this year, is shocking to me.
Wait, let's pull this comment up here. I see one here. At 36 Crow, Jason. Can you pull that one up? Because we were just talking about all the different offensive coordinators that he has had. We were blaming Jalen, according to this guy?
No,
Louie, I don't think that's the way it was.
Not at all. But I will say, though, Jalen's limitations definitely play a part in why this offense has been so up and down over the last 4 years. I think that's naive to say that's not a fact.
Right.
And he's also been great in huge moments, and he's a huge reason you have a Super Bowl. But both things can be the problem with Jalen Hurts debates is people don't want to believe one thing and the other. It's got to be black and white. Jalen Hurts can have top 5 moments in the biggest moments, and he's a franchise quarterback. But he also has legitimate limitations he hasn't figured out yet that hold this team back. That's a fact. So is play calling being a problem. There's a lot of things that work or don't in an NFL organization.
Karen says, guys, San Francisco played awesome without a lot of their players. Jalen is not the problem.
He's part of it.
He's part of it.
We're not saying he is the whole problem. No.
He's part of it. You can't
not
have your
to
hands.
Move on from,
you can't have your hands on the ball on every snap in the second half and watch what you watched and say he's not part of the problem.
Especially when you're a mobile quarterback and you're just not running the football. I mean, that part of his game is gone right now.
Here's the thing, too. Like, and you brought it up, Louie. The fact that as he ages, as he loses a half a step, can he be a guy where the run doesn't bail him out as much, where he has to become more of a pocket passer? And that's not his strength. So, I mean...
Yeah, I'm just sort of wondering, why the running game disappeared. Was it a choice that he made? A choice that the organization made because it's too risky for his health? I don't know. It just disappeared. I remember Donovan. I watched his entire career. He no longer wanted to be considered a guy that was a running quarterback. That was sort of a choice. I think by
it
him and his brand was to evolve into this pocket guy, and he's not a this standard issue African American quarterback that was going to run all the time, and that was a choice. Is that what's happening here too, or I don't know.
I think to a degree, yes. I think he didn't want to, and there was a report during the season, he didn't like all the designed runs that he had gotten in years past because he was always injured heading into the playoffs. And it did work to a degree. It kept him healthy, but it also severely hampered and handicapped your offense. So I think it was kind of a mutual decision from the coaching staff and the quarterback. And to a degree, he's not nearly as explosive as he used to be, but still enough where you need to be using him in that way. If you're going to run the scheme you are. If not, you need to completely overhaul what you do on offense. And he needs to, again, like Jason was just saying, like you then need to also grow. You need to be able to throw over the middle with anticipation. You need to be able to throw 30-plus times a game and be able to win that style of football. And he's not that guy. Right? That's not his game. So if that's not his game and he's not going to run either, then you need a new quarterback. It's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, and we're not calling for that. We're just having a discussion.
No.
Yeah.
But
right.
But these are things that you have to look at long range.
Because guess what, guys? They're going to need to extend him eventually. There's another extension that's coming to get down these huge cap hits coming up. So you got to talk about that soon.
Like Michael says, Hurt said it was because that's what KP wanted to do, Kevin Patullo. KP decided to run less. Did he say that today after the game?
Jalen said in a press conference a couple days ago that it was a decision from this coordinator, but there was also a report a few weeks before that Jalen wasn't a big fan as much of the north-south run designs. But that's how he's effective because he can't beat edge rushers to the boundary anymore.
Not to side anymore.
No, he doesn't beat even
times tonight.
Defensive tackles run him down and backup linebackers. So it's kind of this like tough double-edged sword where he needs to run up the middle to have success, but it also opens you up to more contact. So I don't know. I feel like you kind of have to just risk it because that's what he does best.
I think that let's look at this comment. We'll discuss it real quick, though. We'll take our last break and get to some more. But I don't know how to say the name. High says, you guys played well, meaning the Eagles, just ran into a team willing to go for every inch. Close, but the Niners can win a grind. To me, the Niners look like they outcompeted the Eagles today by my eye test.
Yeah,
I felt like they competed harder than the Eagles. They had more to prove, even though I think they had less pressure because they weren't expected to win. And coming off the 13-3 loss to Seattle, all the injuries, I think there's a little bit of pressure relieved, and I think that's a factor. But to me, it looked like they outcompeted the Eagles today. And for that being one of Nick Sirianni's strengths, that is a bit concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, you would think that the hunger, the fact that you win the division, you get a home playoff game. Yeah, okay, you got rested in week 18 and missed an opportunity to get the 2 seed, which what does that do for you now? You lost your first home game to the Niners, for God's sake. I mean, it just seemed like San Francisco came in here right off the jump, and they were playing harder right from the first whistle.
You could see it right on the first drive. You saw it.
Yeah.
Well, even look at the way they got out of their huddle and got to the line of scrimmage and got snaps off. I mean, the Eagles are just so lackadaisical and sleepwalking to the line, and some of that's Patullo can't get the playoff. He doesn't know what he's doing, but I just feel like this offense, no urgency at all, and AJ Brown, like you said, I mean, you would have wished that Sirianni, that exchange lights a fire under him, and for the rest of the game he dominates, and instead it made him like completely check out and say, I'm better than this, and that's disappointing.
Yep. Flashpoint 345 says, I knew the game was over for the Eagles when Sirianni was arguing with AJ Brown. They fell apart. Niners defense showed up. Can't rebut that.
Well,
I can't rebut it.
Third quarter, it was nothing but 3.5. How about Lil Skatero says up here, if only we made that extra point, we were already in field goal range. Man, I'll tell you, it is so true.
They need a new kicker by the way next year, too.
They do. That's another thing they need, Louie. You're right.
Yep.
Are you going to be scouting kickers too?
No, that's not my forte. That's not my expertise.
The guy at Ole Miss is good.
He is good.
Miss
I noticed
good.
that too.
Yeah, he's good.
We'll get Mikey.
Got a lot of third-round picks. Maybe waste one on the kicker. I don't know.
Mikey Miss doesn't have much to do. We'll get him to scout kickers, Harry.
Okay.
You know that he loves football player kickers.
He loves kickers. Yeah.
He had a big thing with
David Akers. Yeah.
He said kickers are not football players.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Louie. Let's take our last time out. We'll come back more, get to some more of the comments as the Eagles season is now over. 23-19, the final against the San Francisco 49ers. Game lost at Lincoln Financial Field. Back after this on the Locked On Eagles Squad Show. All right, let me tell you about oh, no, it's like blocking me out. Well, we'll just have to go with that. Robinhood. Now, what if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. Now, I always knew the game, but I never knew it had a dynamic way to apply the knowledge. Now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. You play or play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. All right, Eagles 23-19. They go down in the first round of the playoffs. Changes are coming. The people are having their say. Like this guy thinks, if you think the Niners are championship caliber, you're sadly delusional. No, they're going to get. I think
they're not winning the Super Bowl. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think he's talking to us.
I think they're losing next week.
Yeah, they're going to Seattle, right? Yeah, they're going to lose to Seattle. They don't have the horses to win too many more games. They're just running out of people. Today, I think today was their last gasp, but they did it.
Yeah.
By the way, AJ Brown, real quick, declined to speak with reporters in the locker room today. So that's
AJ. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
No.
Well,
glad he's taking accountability for choking away. He had a lot to say when he wasn't getting targets this year. He was perfectly fine meeting with the media, but now today, when he got those targets in a do or die situation, now he won't meet with the media.
I'm sure there'll be a tweet or an Instagram post
he'll
within
be
the
on
next 12
some
hours.
Video game stream talking about how it wasn't on him.
3 catches on 7 targets today.
Classic.
Yeah, for like what, 25 yards or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't, as a leader, as one of the key guys, and demand that you're a key guy and demand the ball, and then not walk out and meet with the media after a season-ending loss where you had 3 catches on 7 targets.
No,
you cannot do that.
Now, what do you say the chances are that Jeffrey Lurie, after he goes out for a nice dinner and retires early, gets a little warm milk, goes to bed, wakes up at maybe 5 o'clock, 4:55, his alarm clock goes off, and he goes, you know what? I'm firing Nick today. I'm going to hire Harbaugh. What do you think the chances are of that?
Same issue. He doesn't call plays.
I know, but he has a history in Philadelphia. He's a very respected guy around the league. He's also underperformed with a mobile quarterback multiple times. But he's got a pedigree, and he's got Philly roots as a coach.
Yeah, I'm good on that. That's just older Sirianni for me. I would avoid that. Yeah.
Only because he doesn't call plays do you say that he's older Sirianni, right?
Well, yeah, because what else? I mean, like Jason said earlier, what else can we say a head coach does that's more of an offensive background? Harbaugh's not more of an offensive guy, but I just am sick. I don't want that kind of head coach again if they move on.
You want to play? You want an offensive guy?
I need an offensive mind.
I need the next genius.
Yeah.
Not Chip Kelly.
I need someone that can call plays for my franchise quarterback for 5, 7, 10 years. Yeah.
I need that person to come into.
Or else I'll stick with Sirianni because I don't think Harbaugh does anything better than Nick at this point.
Yeah, look, Harbaugh's that big name that's out there because he was with Baltimore for 18 years.
Guy chokes in big games more than any coach in the league. No, thank you.
He has.
And he's a guy that is comes across like has great Q rating, very likable.
Oh yeah.
He's not a jerk, any of that stuff. But the resume leaves a lot to be desired. He looks better from afar than he does up close when you really examine what he's been able to accomplish. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but not enough. It's the same thing with Tomlin.
So then if Tomlin gets fired on Tuesday after they lose Monday night, you'd have no interest in him either, I suppose. No,
sir.
Okay. All right, I'm just getting it out there. I'm not suggesting
Give me
anything.
Kubiak from the Seahawks.
There you go.
Like
I
that's a name I would listen to, or The Rams OC, LaFleur. Give me someone from a different style offense that can force Jalen to grow.
What if
That's
the
what I'd
Packers fire their LaFleur?
I would hire him.
Yeah.
What about Guy LaFleur, Harry?
Guy LaFleur from the Canadiens.
He'd be helmetless, that's for sure.
Number 10 with the
Yes.
long flowing lettuce. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know where they go, but what I would do is I would be bringing guys in, and the interview process would be about innovative play design and how I'm going to manage a franchise quarterback that's mobile that may become a little bit less mobile as he ages. That's the answer that's got to wow me.
Yeah.
Like Andy Reid wowed with the long snap dissertation.
Yeah, and the big
I don't
binder
give
that
two
he
craps about the binder about the long snap.
Jeffrey Lurie made Doug Peterson sit down with him after the 2020 season and pitch to him his plan for 2021. He said, I'm just going to
After
promote
winning
from
a Super
within.
Bowl.
He said, good riddance. I think he's going to make Nick do the same thing this offseason. If he says it's Kevin Patullo again, and I'm not changing from my guy, and Nick says I have this new post-Super Bowl win kind of leverage, it could end the same way as it ended with Doug. I don't predict that. I think Nick will move on from Patullo, but I think that meeting is coming.
Percentage chance that Nick Sirianni pays the ultimate price. 4%.
Yeah.
It's about where I am.
Wait, 4% or 4 out of 10?
4%.
4%? No,
I
I
don't
gotta
think
go.
it's
I
going
gotta go
anywhere.
higher than that. I'm going about 29-30%.
I go 15,
Yeah.
10, 15%.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere because I think he knows that Patul's a boob.
Well, if he doesn't know now, he's never gonna.
Exactly, and then that's the 4% going. You got it. Sorry, dude, you got to go.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We got Louie locked on all week.
Yep.
And you'll continue to, do the autopsy here, if you will,
Break it all down. Yep.
on this whole Eagle season. You'll start to look forward to going to the combine and everything else.
Yep.
As the Eagles are now officially in the offseason, believe it or not. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And all season long to the Locked On Eagles squad show, post-game show. We've had a great time doing it, even though it's been very frustrating at times. There were some good times. We'll have the midweek show coming up as well with Mark Farzetta. But everybody, have a great couple of days. Do the best you can coping, and we will talk to you next time on the Locked On Eagles squad show.